Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Fandom, the podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. Today's episode is brought to you by In the Reads. In the Reads provides beautiful, affordable artwork of the vibrant worlds found within your favorite books, TV, and films. From all wood bookmarks featuring illustrations and quotes from such fandoms as Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Outlanders, and more, to fantasy and real-life maps drawn in the style of Tolkien. Go to inthereads.com and check out what is available. Like something? Use code TALES10 at checkout to get 10% off your order. A link will be in the show notes along with the code. And now, let's get to the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. I am joined by a returning guest. He is making his third appearance on the podcast. I have Drew, but you might know him better as DrewBearded on Twitch. If you've known me long enough on Twitter or on Instagram, you've seen me share his stuff, and you really need to hit the follow button and go check out his Twitch channel. But Drew, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, David. I appreciate you, man.
It is always my pleasure to have you on. You do the pleasure of streaming and letting me hang out in your channel and get to hang out with the Beardies and watch you play incredible games and just enjoy my time with you and everyone else. So thank you, honestly, for getting up or hanging out in the evenings for and doing your streams.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's really sweet to hear. That's the type of environment that I try to maintain on the show. Everybody feeling welcome, everybody feeling warm and fuzzies, and just having a good old time.
Now, one of the things that you've been doing as of late, and I think you started about a year and a half ago, is you've really started to play these long form, role-playing games where you sink 30, 40, 50, 60 hours of gameplay into them, not to mention the grinding that you potentially do off stream. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, as somebody that watches a lot of people on Twitch, you are one of the people that I think really does a great job of not only presenting the game and keeping us engaged in the game, through the grind or through what's going on, but you're keeping us up to date with what's going on. I feel like you're one of the premier streamers that does these long form story role playing games, because it was must see Twitch TV for when you were doing like Final Fantasy X or the game that we're going to be talking about today, which is Mass Effect. Mm-hmm. It was where if I missed an episode, or if I missed like the first hour or two, like that was where I'd make sure to catch the VOD. I would load up the VOD, which I don't do normally on Twitch, and I needed to make sure, I needed to see like what was going on in the story, what choices you were making, how it was going, and I loved getting to witness these games through your eyes. Especially back when we were talking about Final Fantasy X. I always love seeing people play that game.
I know how much you love that FF10.
But I feel like you do a wonderful job as a host, narrator, game player, and not only do you play the game, but you go into the lore and everything else that's presented to you, and you share that with us. And I think you do a wonderful job with it.
Thank you. Truth be told, I was actually apprehensive to do the longer form games at first. Just because I didn't know how the grinding part would land, or how was I going to catch up a new viewer or even a returning one on the story and where we were. And it turns out it's not as challenging as I had put this almost intimidating vibe to it. And the fact that you were encouraged to go and review the VODs, I've noticed you mentioned that a couple of times, and I'm curious to see how many of the viewers actually do the same thing. Because I mean, like you said, they're long playthroughs, and we get through several chunks at a time, because I'm now afforded the time to play longer periods of time, even though less days, and it just has a better flow to it. And so in getting that opportunity to fully flesh out a game, I just feel that it's enhanced by the community aspect of Twitch, because I pride myself on having that safe space and a place where it's warm and it's welcome for everybody on the net and you're safe to be yourself. And the fact that we're all able to enjoy this story or enjoy different elements of the game, like right now we're playing through Golden Sun and it's my favorite game of all time, and it just adds a different level of excitement, not only for me because it's my favorite game, but maybe somebody that hasn't enjoyed it before in the past or even heard of it. And then in the case of something like Final Fantasy X, when it's one of your favorites, it adds that different layer, like, what is this dude doing? Which is entertainment. It's entertainment for me because instead of I take it from my apprehension of MMOs, right? There's huge fans of these MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, and sharing my love of these RPGs shares that slight apprehension because I am by no means an expert in role-playing games or Final Fantasy or any of these huge fantastical worlds that we get to take a part of. And it's really shown me that just by sharing my love of these stories, characters, and franchises, that's really all you can ask for from anyone, because everybody has their own level of knowledge on whatever you're going through. And it's really neat to see like what you unlock and are able to engage on in that story that you're embarking on together, which I feel is totally worth everybody's time.
It absolutely is. And the game that we're going to be talking about today, which is the Mass Effect trilogy, or the Legendary Edition, whatever you want to call it, this was your first playthrough of it, correct?
It was. I was a noob, a complete noob to the Mass Effect games, all of them. I think I had a brush with Mass Effect 2, but then I was like, wait, this is a part of a trilogy? I can't play this, and I put it down until now.
Now, like, because I'm looking at the release dates, and for the original Mass Effect, I know exactly, like, I don't think I even had a PlayStation 3 at the time. I know I didn't get the Xbox 360. Probably when it came out, like I had the 360, but for some reason I never picked it up. I never played it. I watched my brother-in-law on occasion play through the original one, and then Mass Effect 2 at the time, but like that was like the period of my kids are like being born or babies and toddlers, and it's like no, there's no time. Plus it's got the first person, or not first person, but like the third person shooter type aspect, and it's like those games are not something that I do well with, and it's like, okay, I'll just catch my brother-in-law here or there playing it, but not really understanding what's going on. What was the thing for you as to like why you picked this trilogy to play? Like now, was it just because the series had come out as in the new Legendary Edition remastered, or was it something you'd always wanted to play?
I'd always been intrigued by Mass Effect in general because I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. I love anything science fiction, like The Matrix, this new show Foundation on Apple TV Plus, which I started. So anything along those type of lines, I gravitate towards in all of my media, so to speak. And so this one had been on my radar for a very, very long time, and I knew it was a trilogy, and I had heard all sorts of like bad stuff about how it ended, which I'm sure we'll touch upon, that terrible first ending that we witnessed together, which was something to behold, I will tell you that. And I had been wanting to play all of them, but I was like, I don't know. They're on the older systems. I don't know if you can get them anymore. And then I invested in Game Pass, and I saw the originals were on there. I'm like, okay, I'll get to them. But then they released the Legendary Edition. I think it was on EA Play, which you get with Game Pass Ultimate, which I took as an investment for the show, just in case there were any games that came on there that I wanted to share. And I know that we had gone through the Final Fantasy X game, and it actually brought a much more enjoyable experience for me sharing a video game with the community, because it was something that we were all investing our time in. It was something that everybody could connect on. And in Mass Effect's case, I am all about choice making in games, and not only choice making, but like being able to discuss it in the moment and kind of like, let's all come to an agreement on these choices. And I knew how big the games were, but for some reason I just was not intimidated or had a daunting feeling about it. I was like, this is now the time to do this. And so we started it and we went ham. Like we looked up the lore and like we read and we took our time, and everybody just remained engaged. And I was not bored for like 1 second, because you know, those games, they can get rather tedious, but with the choice aspect and how much they jam packed into each of those games, like I still to this day feel that we only touched the surface of everything those games have to offer. Like, even for as much lore as we went through on that first one, we kind of tapered off at the end of 3, because at that point in our journey with all the choices and the conversations we were having with all the characters, I was just like, listen, if this were me in real life, I would have had enough. I would have had completely been fed up with everybody not being able to make a decision and everything coming down to me. Let's go. So I think that fed into a lot of the last minute choices that we made.
Mm-hmm.
I was so blown away with how full the games were, but they weren't filler. Like, it was just, everything was interconnected in the best way. And it's one of those experiences that I definitely will go back to, because I want to make those choices in a different way and like do the Paragon run and do the Renegade run. You could just play it in so many different ways. And then there's a way you can split hairs and do like a I think they call them like a Paragade run or a Renegon run, where you're like perfectly split down the middle.
One of the things, because again, this was, for me, it was being able to see the game for the first time played through from start to finish. I've seen other streamers play, like they'd have like a Mass Effect Monday where they would play Mass Effect for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But then, you know, then it's like a week goes by and it's like, oh, well, I don't remember what we were doing at all at this point. And it takes a lot longer if they even stick with doing that as a streamer, because it's tough. I can't imagine playing, you know, the same game on occasion for that much time, sinking that many hours into running through the game like over and over again, because they've played it before. Mm-hmm. But it was nice to get to experience like your first playthrough, and it's like my first watch of this game. And I think like that's one of the things that really was just wonderful for not just me, but for other people, even the other people that like the other chat, you know, beardies that are hanging out, like the ones that have played it, they're getting to watch and be like, oh my gosh, what is Drew going to do? What choice is Drew going to make here? Or is he even going to like pick up on this, or is he going to like go right past it? Which I believe like there's a couple of times where it's like, oh, you went right past something, and
yep.
Like, I didn't know, but like they're talking about it. It's like, okay, you know.
I know. I'm sitting there like a noob. I'm like, how do you expect me to know that? There's no way I would have picked up on that choice or that path. Like because I was playing the Legendary Edition, there's a whole bunch of DLC missions that I was like, oh, this is a part of the story. And they're like, this is not a part of the story. And I'm like, well, oh, I didn't know. And so I guess we played a whole bunch of DLC, and I didn't realize it until after the fact. So, yay.
But you know, the way that the Legendary Edition does it merges it almost seamlessly to where you don't know, like, as you're playing it and I'm watching, it's like, how is anybody supposed to know that that's a DLC thing?
Oh, 100%. I think they did a fantastic job making it seem like it was a part of the original experience. Like the missions made sense. Like that side mission where you're after the doctor that is about to blow up the planet, but you end up having to blow up the planet anyway. And I killed like 30,000 Batarians, and that became a running joke. Like, oh, it's only Batarians. You'll just kill another 300,000. The number just kept growing. And I was like, no, I didn't mean it. It's terrible.
Now, for like the game series as a whole, what would you rate the game? Is it like a solid A game? Is it something that you are gonna, go? I know you talked about but you're gonna go back and try like a straight Renegade run or a straight like Paragon run. Like, where does this game rank for you as far as like games that you have invested your time in?
So my ranking system for a game, I think it really is based upon, am I going to continue to talk about this game for years to come? And I would throw it up there with the likes of Golden Sun and Destiny, even Destiny 2, because there's a reason why I talk about these games as much as I do, even if I don't play them as much as I would like, because it's just, there's something about these games. Oblivion is another one. Like, I remember loving Oblivion. But if I had to give it a number rating, I would easily give it an 8 out of 10, because it's just, I don't want to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's not perfect by any means, but it is quality. And the amount of entertainment, the amount of value that you get from the Legendary Edition alone. Like, if you were to break down the Legendary Edition and you were like to pick one of those games, they could all, obviously they were singular games, but they could all stand on their own. Like, if you only played one of those games, you wouldn't feel like you were missing a piece of the puzzle because of the way the game is laid out and the lore is there. Like, I am just still floored with the fact that all of the lore that we went through from 1 all the way to 3, it stays with the save. So it's literally, you could read that whole lore if you started at Mass Effect 3. You could read everything that we read together from Mass Effect 1. And I think that's something super special. And I don't know, personally, I've never played another game like that. So for me, Mass Effect is up there in some of the top games I've played of all time.
I was thinking about, as you're talking about like the carryover save stuff, and I of games that I've seen or games that I've played, like, I don't think anything really comes close to it of the stuff that you're doing carrying over, not just to one game but to like two, like, the third game. Like, your choices from first to second to third, like they influence so many different parts of it, to where it's like, everyone is going to have just like these little differences of, well, did you do this? Well, that, and that changes, this aspect, that changes this aspect, and it's just wonderful to see.
Absolutely. Like, I don't even want to, I try not to think about the technical part of it, because it would just make my brain freeze up, because I don't even know how that's even possible. The other thing that comes to mind is when I started Mass Effect 2, and I don't know if you caught it, but on the bottom, when you're carrying over your save, it says like who you're currently romancing with. It made me feel like crap, because I apparently didn't make enough choices, and it was like, you didn't romance anybody, and I'm like, thanks, game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so lonely now.
Well, let's talk about the game, because that you made lots of choices, and the first one obviously is you went with FemShep.
I did.
Was there a reason behind FemShep?
So I when I was much younger, I would always pick a female protagonist in all the games that I could do so. I don't know why. It was not for the normal, haha, she's got boobies reason that teenagers usually go for. It was more like, I want to be a female protagonist. I don't like, that's where I'm at. And so before we started, I was kind of leaning towards the female version of Shepard already, but then kind of what sealed the deal for me was everybody's praise of the voice actress who plays Fem Shep. And it just got me really excited. And although it got, tossed up to a vote, I was always secretly hoping that Fem Shep was going to win, because I didn't want to be male Shep. And apparently his voice acting is kind of bland. No disrespect to the voice actor. I don't think I've seen a scene where I've seen male Shep. Yet to this day, I still haven't seen male Shep do his thing. So I don't know. The jury is still out on my opinion, but I was super excited to get to play Fem Shep this go around.
With Mass Effect, and we're talking the first game. One of the interesting things is that not only are you doing missions where you're on your on your feet essentially with your squad, so it's like you and your two other people, but you have driving. in the later games, the driving isn't there. What were your thoughts on the driving? Because I know as a viewer, they were quite enjoyable, and there's many a clip of your driving prowess. But what do you think about like the inclusion of that feature and then them not having it in the later versions?
So I was more heartbroken that they took my hacking away, but the driving, I was a little bit sad because there were so many good moments that you would catch. Of all people, you would catch them. Where I would just, man, I sucked at driving in that game. And it wasn't even because the controls are bad. I was just a terrible driver. And I enjoyed how they broke up the gameplay with the driving. I really, really did. I thought it was a clever mechanic. I thought it was awesome that you could literally take your team from point A to point B. You had like a cannon and a machine gun. And then there was this dope part where you were trying to bust up the shields on a base. And you could have driven down the whole path to get to the base, but no, I just decided to drive off the edge of the cliff as I do. So, I mean, that in that regard, driving for me was 10 out of 10 because it provided entertainment value for y'all and many a great clip. I don't know why they lessened it in the second two. And I can't blame me because the game came out way before I even got my hands on it. So I don't know why they took that away, and it made me sad.
And you bring up the hacking because that's something that changes. I believe it changed each game was something totally different.
It did. I believe I distinctly remember the hacking in 2. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really enjoyed it because you had to, like, there was 3 or 4 different mini games that you had to play. And once I understood how they all work, they ended up being like my favorite part of the mini game portion of the game. Cause you're just like, you're playing matching, you're matching up lines. You're like, there's even a part where you're matching blocks of code, like you're in the Matrix, which stood out to me. Cause I was like, oh, hey, I'm a hacker. And it's moments like that in video games that I get excited about because it's stuff that I can't do in real life. So I'm able to escape. And I feel like some of that gets lost in translations in a lot of modern games. Like I don't think developers remember that some of us want to just escape from what we're doing. And when I hit those moments in Mass Effect where I was just fully invested, engaged, and I forgot I was even playing a game, was some of the most monumentally impactful moments in my gaming history. Like, it was just so dope, and hacking stood out. And the fact that they took it away from me in Mass Effect 3, I'm still bitter. BioWare, if you ever listen to this episode, I just want you to know I'm real bitter that you took that out, and you're going to need to remaster it again and put it back in. Okay? I'm just saying.
With and I guess the same goes for, like, I guess the downtime stuff. Like, there was a lot of in the various games, there was like the resource management, like, aspect of going to go get the resources and doing probes, and then they changed it to something else, and it's like that was a major change too from game to game, where it's like, it looked like they're either trying stuff out or trying to just like figure out like a better way or more streamlined way for you to get what you need to get.
I think it came down to streamlining, because by the time 3 came around, you had so much to do, so many loose ends to tie up. Depending on who survived at the end of 2, there's so many storylines that you could have, because now you're dealing with the main threat. They're back in 3, and so I just think if they kept the probing the same as they had it in 2 to 3, it would have been almost too much. Because as much as I really enjoyed it, like, I was making a joke with my buddy Words of No Word Count, how I was just literally like sip wine and sit there and mine. It was like whining and mining, and I'm like, heck yeah, that's a great freaking Friday night. And but not everybody's built like that. And I'm pretty sure they were happy they streamlined it. But it took more of an adjustment for the way to get materials in 3 than it did for 2, because I feel that probing thing, it made complete sense. Okay, I need to invest in more fuel, I need to invest in more probes, and then I go do that. And I had like something to do off stream, which I feel was a good balance, because a part of my apprehension with playing the longer form games on the show is the grinding aspect to it, because especially if it's a game I'm not familiar with, I don't know when you're going to hit that wall where you need to grind, and so as much as I can hold a conversation, as much as I could be entertaining, especially if I'm bouncing back and forth off the chat, it's always a risk that I run, that I hit the point in the game that I'm like, I literally cannot progress unless I do this and make it worth watching, which has been actually a more fun challenge than I anticipated this go around. And I'm learning new and unique ways to bring people along on that grinding experience. But as far as probing is concerned, I personally feel they nailed it in 2. And 3 was, even though it was more unique, it didn't land for me as well as 2 did.
With Mass Effect, you have your shepherd, but then you have this incredible cast of characters, this ragtag bunch of crew that you pick up in the first game, and you get more, as the game progresses into 2 and then 3. You get some, if not all, of who you're looking for, but you get these wonderful cast of characters, and I have to ask, who was your favorite? And I know it's tough to choose, but there's so many great squaddies. But did you have a favorite? Maybe like a top 2 or 3.
So, I mean, we could talk all day about how unique each of the characters were. But as far as favorites are concerned, I mean, Rex is definitely top 3, if not number 1. He's my boy. I love me some Rex just because he's stubborn and he's the complete antithesis of me as a person. Garrus is amazing. He's just this sassy, tall, handsome alien Turian dude that's just like gonna go to bat. Like, he's just super honorable. I love Garrus because of his honorable nature. Like, even when you catch back up with him in 2, I'm just like, dang, it's Garrus. And I think at Thane, I really, really enjoyed Thane a lot. And just how they handle the assassin storyline and the kind of twisted sense of honor that the assassin has. because like let's be honest, assassins murder people, they kill people and end lives, but there was an honor in the way that character handled it, and he understood like the path that he was treading was not ideal and not good, but he was doing everything according to his beliefs and trying to stick to them, and I thought that was a very, very unique way to handle something of that nature. And I'm trying to think if there's any. Oh, and I love Liara. Liara will always have a place in my heart, because she's just so she's just so kind and wants to do the right thing. But I was talking to somebody and they kind of brought up a point where she's kind of like the yes man, and then I went back and I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, she does. Liara kind of does just agree with you all the time. There's no, like, there's no conflict. There's no up and down. There's no. She's just meant to be like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, you should totally kill those Batarians. Yeah, we should do this. And then an honorable mention, because I would feel hard pressed if I didn't mention her. You're probably gonna remember the name better than I did. We ended up seeing her demise because we chose the Geth, and I can't remember her name. She went off the edge. She cannot take off her head. She's one of those species.
Oh, Tali.
Yes, Tali. Tali is my honorable mention because if I did not romance Garrus, I wanted to romance, because Rex is not an option. I don't know why. I wanted to romance Tali, and you can't as FemShep, which made me sad and kind of weird, to be honest with you. But she was just so hypnotizing to me because she was so brilliant. She was a brilliant scientist and just wanted to do right by her people, and she was just honest, and it broke my heart how her end happened, because I feel like in our journey together through them, there was a whole slew of deaths, like one right after another, that I was just like, I can't take this. There's just, why are you doing this to me? But yeah, that's gonna be my top 5. I think I did 5, right? Rex, Garrus, Liara, Thane, and Tali. That's it. Yeah.
It's interesting that you put Thane up there, because when I was watching you play, like, I don't know, I didn't connect with Thane. I don't know, maybe if I missed a chunk of his story on gameplay, or just missed a VOD or something. But it's like I didn't really feel like that connection that I had with Rex or Garrus, especially because, with you playing through all 3 of them at the same time, like Rex and Garrus were like the squad.
They were
for the first one.
They were,
and is like now you're trying to rotate. And I think that's the other tough part with this whole game franchise is you get such a different story depending on who you bring along on these missions. Like, it's interesting to hear and see what, like, if you choose to bring 2 certain characters with you, and then if I'm watching someone else play and they bring different characters, like, it's almost like it's, a totally different experience.
It is. And I think the only part that I wish I did different for my first playthrough was to figure out who I should bring on important missions. And I say that because the relationships matter, and the time frame that you take to do specific actions and missions matters. And I did not realize that, obviously, because I never played him before. But it's a double-edged sword, because it's like we wouldn't have had the experience that we had I done that. It would have been forced and not genuine. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's really cool to hear after the fact that specific choices I made as far as like my party completely impacted something that happens in like 2 games down the road. I'm like, oh, really? Really? Okay, great. I'm going to cry in the corner now, because I can't take that back. But Again, it's just another one of those cool dynamics, and the fact that you literally could sit there and watch 10 people play the same game but have a completely different experience. I think it's a beautiful thing.
And I wanna just make mention of a character that you briefly get to play, but is ever present in the franchise, which is Joker, voiced by Seth Green.
My gosh, yes.
Wonderful character.
So good.
I loved seeing his evolution, his experience with the crew, and it's nice to have like that NPC that's there, and it's like you know what you're going to get with him, but it's still fun to just see what he's going to say.
Absolutely. Like, first of all, like Seth Green, he's fantastic at being witty and those quips. And the fact that he was able to layer himself into Joker so exquisitely, like instantly the second he opened his mouth in Mass Effect 1, I was like, oh, I love this dude. I absolutely, it's not even because it's Seth Green. It's everything to do with his personality and what he embodies, and the fact that he's just so ride or die with Shepard, and he's just there every step of the way. And like, I love how much he grew from 1 to 3 in pushing his limits through his disability. That was really amazing to see. And then him even finding love in the most unique ways. when him and Edie finally tied the knot, which was really, really funny. But yeah, that's a great call out. Joker is such a good character. And kind of to go back to the Thane piece, did you get a chance to see the mission where we save his son?
No, I don't think so.
That might be the missing piece for you about Thane then, because that's when Thane clicked with me and why I resonated with him, because there's a mission that in order to have him join the team, you need to do a favor for him, and that favor is to stop his son from going down the same path that he did. And so you basically thwart the son's assassination attempt. And they get that heart to heart, like, look, I know I wasn't there, but this is why I wanted you to have the life that I couldn't. And it was that like aha and transformative moment. And you're like, wow, yes.
With the Mass Effect franchise, again, we talk a lot about choices. How do you feel you did as far as like the choices you made, the ending, I'm not going to say the ending, but like where you ended up either with like, Paragon or Renegade, like how do you feel overall for your first time with what you got to do?
For my first time, I felt really good about the path that I chose, because it was a very genuine and real turn of events, for lack of a better term at this point in time. Because the first game, I'm like, oh man, I never played Mass Effect. We're going to pour all over the lore. We're going to make informed decisions. I'm going to look straight in the camera, and we're going to go on this journey together. And then the second game, it kind of evolved, and it was like, oh, these choices are like, the stakes are getting slightly higher, and like, it's not really black and white anymore. It's very gray because you're working for Cerberus, but like you still have a conscience because you're still Shepard. And then by the time 3 came around, David, it was the most genuinely human I've ever felt in a video game, because I was so done with everybody not being able to make a decision and use their own brain that like it was a part of the reason why I was happy I played like back to back to back, because you literally see that in real time. My approach to choices completely change. I think the only the only time that I was not entirely thrilled with the choices that we made was towards the tail end of 2. Because I feel like I think the last like 5 or 6 decisions at the end of 2, I was just like, I feel awful. This does not feel like this is how it's supposed to go. And it just kept getting worse. and worse. And then people started dying and leaving forever. And I was like, this is the worst. And then you find out what we feared about the elusive man, and you're like, why did we do this? And I think like going into 3, it completely altered. It's like that. It altered my worldview of where we were going in Mass Effect 3 in the worst ways. I'm like, oh no, it's all going down. The aliens are here. We're going to die. Everybody's dying. Why did you trust me with this? That's how it felt going into 3. It's awful.
Who was the hardest character for you to lose in the trilogy?
The hardest character to lose, Legion. I know that's weird. I know that's weird because he's a Geth and he's not a real person. Legion followed by Tali. And Legion was hard for me because I really, really, really wanted him to come with me to Mass Effect 3. And again, you get him so late in 2, and I'm like, oh, this is dope. This is the twist that I didn't even realize existed. And it was one of those moments I actually got to experience, like, spoiler free. I was so thankful in this run that we got through so much of it spoiler free. Like, I didn't do any research. I only had to open a guide like once or twice, but like I was so thankful. I was like, oh man, okay, we have Legion. I didn't know this was gonna happen. Nobody ruined it for me. And then he died, and I was like, no. Why? There was slight redeeming there because he does end up coming back, even though it's not him. I don't know why, but I had such a hard time letting go of Legion, especially because the way he died, I was like, bro, you could have totally survived that. I don't know why. I had some metagel, man. You just fell through the door. I got you. But he died, and that was really hard. And then when we chose the Geth over Tali's race, I was hella conflicted there. I was very conflicted because I had such a good relationship with Tali. Like, I had taught her, I had helped her learn, that the true story behind the Geth and their history and why they were where they were and what happened to the planet and that whole relationship. And I thought for sure she was going to be with me until the end. And then, like, just seeing all of her people get decimated by the Geth, it was just too much for like any being to bear. That's like all you've ever known, being blown up out of the sky. And the fact that we're talking about something so tragic, coming out of a video game, it's still hard to wrap my head around that. Like, we're talking about like real relationships and super depth in, what's widely considered something for a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are still people on this planet that think video games are just for kids. And I'm just like, y'all clearly haven't played a good story in more modern days lately. I'm just saying, because that's the stuff you see on like primetime television or like, blockbuster movies,
Yeah, it's always whenever I hear them talk about like doing a Mass Effect movie, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way to put in 2 to 2.5 hours what you get out of like a single game versus like the whole trilogy of games that you have.
If they do a live action version of Mass Effect, this is what I want them to do. Okay? And it's going to cost them so much money, but they need to do it right. It needs to be a series. Okay? Not necessarily multiple seasons, but it needs to be a series. And you need to film various different scenarios, okay? And it needs to be a pick your own adventure series. I know they have those on Netflix, and I know they did it for Minecraft Story Mode on Netflix. But that's the only way to do that justice. There's no way you can fit just like what, there's no way you can be fulfilled with one of the story arcs in a series. There's just no way.
Yeah, it's It just boggles my mind every time it pops up. It's like, no, there's some things that don't need to be translated from video game into a TV show or a movie. Just leave it alone.
Correct. Especially with the way video games get handled in movies. I would say about 8 times out of 10.
Now, I do wanna mention a few things with your run through, and it's one that has continued discussion multiple times, even through like new games that you play. Sometimes people pop up and they bring up a certain character named Ashley. Um, and that was like the first major like big decision that you had to make was who were you going to save in Mass Effect 1 was Caden or Ashley, and you were like, bye Ashley.
I did. I said bye Ashley because she was a racist piece of garbage. I stand by that choice.
What I know, I remember watching, but was there any hesitancy at all, or were you just like, you know what? No, that's it. Like, I don't even need to think about it.
Yeah, it was the latter because she had said so many things up to that point that I was just like done. And the way she treated the rest of the crew, like they were beneath her, I was like, yeah, we don't need any part of you in our team. And then what really, really hit the nail into the coffin was when she was still mouthing off when we were about to do the last mission, going to defeat the last guy in Mass Effect 1 at that base. I was like, bro, you are still mouthing off. I can't wait until I have to choose you to die. I can't wait.
Now, did you, before the mission started, did you know that like that was going to happen, that she was potentially going to die, or was that like here it is presenting itself to us?
That was one of those moments, and they were very rare, but it was one of those moments where you could feel it in the pacing and the way things were worded. Like, you are going to have to make a decision that somebody's going to die. And I was really happy that was our first one because it it was not meaningful at all. I was like, great, she's dead. I never want to see her again, and I never have to. Boom. And I got my wish, and then I saved Caden, and I later on regretted that. So there was no winning in that choice, but we got rid of Ashley, and that's all I cared about.
The other theme that ran through all the games was rogue scientists, because you know, and that's something that we would go back and forth on is, are they a rogue scientist?
Yep.
That, you know, you gotta follow that path of what do we do with a rogue scientist, because you know there are people that are redeemable, and in the game there are definitely characters that have that came back to help you later on, that you're like, oh, you better get off the planet before it blows up or whatever, and then you see them later on in the game and they help you out. But there's certainly like the rogue scientists in Mass Effect are ones where it's like it felt like the only way was to kill them.
Like, you're 100% accurate. There's a reason why that is now our running joke in the show. Like, are they a rogue scientist? Because apparently that was an archetype that somebody in the writing room was like, look, y'all, it's the future, okay? Science rules all. There's going to be some rogue ones, and we need to murder them. And they probably looked at this person like, are you crazy? And then as the writing went on, they were like, dude, you're so right. That's a rogue scientist. They need to die. And it just fits. Like, you literally need to ask yourself, like, is it a rogue scientist? Do I need what they offer? No, die, because I'm going to prevent that problem from happening. And I don't know what it was. And, you know, what's his face? Oh, my gosh. Morden. I can't believe he hasn't come up yet. But Morden towed that line beautifully. The way the Solarians are written. Oh, gosh. Is he a Solarian? Yes. The Solarian is a modern, scientist. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, I just messed up. I'm gonna get so much flack, but I didn't. Ha! I win. But Morden towed that line beautifully, I feel, because he definitely did some messed up stuff, and if he was an NPC, he definitely would have got capped. He would have.
Morden is, I think, out of all the characters that we went through in your playthrough, Morden was the one that I was really sad about losing. Like, I felt terrible that he died the way that he died. I wish like we could have been able to save him, but dang, like his whole story was so good.
It was very good. That entire storyline from beginning to end, and the fact that I remember that plain as day too, because it was such a shock. Because in that moment was like an instant change in emotion, for me, and I can imagine as a viewer. You're sitting there, and I chose to be open and honest with him at the very last second, because I was like, listen, he's been so good. He has a crush on this Krogan that he can't even have a relationship with because his lifespan is too short, and B, she'd never have him. And like, he's learned so much in the short time that we've been associated. And like, for him to just be like, you waited to tell me because I was the only one to get this right. And he pops up in the elevator and he does the right thing and makes it so that the Krogans no longer are infected with the genophage, and they give you just enough time to celebrate it. And then that explosion happens and you're like, wait, what? It was like so messed up. It was so, I forgot about that until now. Oh, so messed up. Ugh. It's so good though. Like, it's super compelling stuff. It's great writing.
Morden, like that was definitely one of the biggest things was that, like, his story arc and his path, because it affected a whole bunch of the story in later games.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a decision that you made that was difficult for you? Like when you look back at the game, you're like, dang, I could have gone either way on this. You had to pick one or the other. Because I feel like there's a number of different ones where it's like, gosh, like you don't know which one to go with. But was there one harder than that? Was that like the epitome of like the hardest choice that you had to make?
There was one, maybe two, that were the hardest choices for me to make in the playthrough. And the first one was in the first Mass Effect game. And I'm super happy we chose the route that we went. But the Rachni choice.
Mm-hmm.
When the Rachni creepily took over the person and talking to us through them. And I was like, this is really scary. But like, if they were locked up, like, I know if I was locked up and I had nothing to do with what my people were doing, like, I'd want a second chance to redeem myself. So it was more like putting myself in their shoes kind of thing. Because I know a lot of people chose to just wipe out the species. But I did find out what happened if you chose not to save them, and it's not pretty. So I'm really happy we chose to save them. And then the second one, it wasn't so much hard as much as filled me with regret. And it was giving the information to the elusive man. I really, really, really wish I went with my gut on that one. But I used my brain instead. And I ended up giving the information to the elusive man at the end of 2, and I lived to regret that wholeheartedly. What a jerk face.
Oh, but so well done. Like, you just wanted to punch Martin Sheen in the face.
Dude, so well done. Yes, all the punching, all of it.
Now, I want to, preface this part. We've been talking about the game for almost an hour at this point. But we're going to talk about the endings. I say that plurally because we're going to get into it. So I know this game is old, and I know a lot of people are getting to it right now, and we've kind of not. I mean, we've spoiled some stuff, but we haven't, like, ending type stuff. So if you're listening now, just jump a little bit ahead. We got to the endings, and I had heard so much about the endings. I remember like when people were playing 3 originally, they hated the endings. They were not happy with them. And I know they did DLC that I guess made it better or something along those lines, because I wouldn't know, because my playthrough is watching you.
Same.
What do you, because we did 2 endings. Shockingly, we did 2 endings, and thank gosh that the save was before the ending, because
man.
otherwise that would have been a tragedy.
Oh my gosh.
And there is evidence of the shocked experiences, and if you could see chat going crazy at that time. But what are your thoughts on the endings, on how you triggered the special? I don't know if it's a special ending or something that got added in later, but there's some choices.
There's some choices. That is one way to say it. So our first ending, which you can view my entire reaction on YouTube, because I had forgotten how to play a video game at that point because I was so distraught. I made the decision, as the entertainer that I am, to shoot the child. Now, let me explain. Okay? Let me explain. So, we are talking to the final character, and it is a hologram of this form that he chose of this child that I failed to save earlier in the playthrough. And I was very sad that I kept having nightmares of this child. And of course, this condescending AI chose the form of this child. So I'm like, I know why you're doing this, and you're trying to rile me up. And so I'm now riled up. You have got my attention. And so he's talking and explaining how we made a generator. And I'm like, well, this is all well and good. What do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do. And so he's just blah, 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 blah. I've like stopped listening to him at this point. Okay. I don't know what he wants from me. I just know that we need to do something. And so again, it's a hologram. It's not a real thing. It's just a computerized fake image in front of me. And I'm like, oh, why don't we just shoot it? And apparently in the Legendary Edition, you can just shoot it. And it was a terrible decision, because the second that you shoot the AI hologram thing, it apparently now triggers the worst ending of the game. And I didn't realize that. And nobody in the chat realized that either, because we're like, what is going on? And sure enough, right after the computer's like, so be it, in this really menacing voice, which is way different than he'd been talking the entire time, you just witness the worst ending that you could possibly have in Mass Effect 3. And so the reason why it was so detrimental to me at that point was because we had spent well over 200 hours total in this game, David. 200 hours. And I was like, this cannot be. And of course, so my brain is frozen. My hands are frozen. And I'm just witnessing what is happening and occurring. And I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm screaming at the TV like I'm watching Price is Right and somebody's bidding incorrectly. And I'm just like heartbroken. So luckily, we were able to jump back into the autosave after I regained consciousness and realized how to play a video game again. And we got our real ending, which was much more satisfying and fulfilling. And I thought it was very interesting how in our ending, she became one with the electrical energy. It was fulfilling, but it almost doesn't make any sense. But then when you think about it, because of the biotics and technically she's been rebuilt, it kind of does. And the fact that she can now protect the entire galaxy, It's very Shepherd. So I was okay with the second ending. I was not. I was definitely not okay with that first ending, and it makes me think twice now if I want to like try and do a joke while I'm playing a game anymore because of that. It's terrible.
That was definitely something where you did that, and all of a sudden it's like, what happened? What is going on? And just like the emotions that are going through, like, because you've invested the time, we as viewers have invested the time, and just to see like that taken away, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe that existed. And again, thank goodness that there was a save where it's like, okay, we can get back, and it's not like terrible to go through the last 15-20 minutes to get to where you needed to go.
Yeah.
But
oh my goodness, David, when I get excited when my chat lights up, but when that chat lit up, when we all realized what was happening and we saw like the achievement, like you beat the game, we were all like, no, what are you do? What? No, it was the worst. It was the worst, but the best, because we now get to relive. Like I'm clenching as we're talking, David. It was a lot. It was, for lack of a better term, it was a lot. I will never forget that for as long as I live.
with the ending that you chose, and overall with the story and everything else that goes into it, with the whole of Mass Effect, and I know we talked about like, it's 8 out of 10. Do you feel that it stuck the landing, or would you rather have seen something else? Like, would you rather have seen like Shepard live? What is Shepard someone that didn't need to live at this point? Like, what would you have changed about the ending for you, just out of curiosity, like fan fiction, DrewBearded Mass Effect ending?
Honestly, I wouldn't. It stuck the landing for me because based upon the decisions that had been made up to that point, like we didn't really have a huge militia. Okay. So the fact that we were even holding our own was amazing. And I think her going out as the martyr that she was meant to be, because you have to think about like every single mission that she got sent out on, even before we met her, like either she would do what needed to get done, or she would be expected to get what needed to be done. And I think that as long as she was able to be out in the field, I think she would have been continued to be used in that manner. And I think after everything that she'd accomplished and after everything that she'd done for humanity, I think she deserved to rest. Like, I know we're all excited for Mass Effect 4 or 5, whatever they're going to call it, because I guess Andromeda does count in the lore, even though I've been told it doesn't. Even though we're all excited for the next one, and Shepard's going to be in it, I, truth be told, I think they need to rest. Like Shepard did what they came to do, you know. And so for me, I think it just it tied it in a nice little bow. The sacrifice was made, and she just gets to rest for a little bit. She still has her consciousness. She knows who she is, and she gets to still watch over her little people.
I can feel that, and totally respect it. I was thinking to myself as I was listening to you talk, it's like there gets to be, especially with how she was brought back, it's like, there's always that question of like how much of Shepard is the Shepard that we have. And in the game there's even like that question that you come face to face with literally about which Shepard, there's that staring you in the face, and it's like at a certain point, you there's not really, she's not there to like, white picket fence with Garrus or whoever you, the listener, gets to, you know, romance with, and it's like it's a fitting end for her.
I agree. I would not like to. I would not like to have seen a happy ending for Shepard. As sad as that is, it just would not have fit the character like one bit.
The only happy ending for Mass Effect that I want to see is lots of Krogan babies.
Yeah, amen.
And Rex.
Amen. Amen. I'd love to see that. Which, by the way, I'm still bitter about that. The last conversations that you have with all the crew that's still remaining, they didn't give like Rex his own little spot. Do you remember that?
I think I do. Because when you're going around to everyone talking to them, right? And it's like you got a conversation with each of them, but then it's like Rex is like nothing there. I believe.
Yeah, not at all. And I was like, but Rex is my boy. I saved him. Like he could have died, and he was here the whole time. Really? You just gonna do him like that? Do him dirty, man.
Yeah. It's such a shame.
It is.
Like, how is Rex not a romanceable
right?
character? Come on.
I agree.
Come on.
We totally romance Rex.
All right. So your next playthrough, which side are you going to swing hard to? I have to know. Are you gonna go full on Paragon, or are you gonna go full on Renegade?
Renegade, hands down. Renegade. Those two cutscenes where I like stabbed a dude with something electrical and he got electrocuted and pushed a dude out the side of the building. You sign me up.
I know that there was a lot of times where it's like the choice in red is blocked, and it's like, no.
That's a part of the reason why. If I learned anything from this playthrough, picking one side or the other always results in better decisions. And I did not really realize the weight of that until we got through to like some of the bigger choices, and I couldn't make them. I had to choose these generic responses, and I was like, well, this is not satisfying at all.
All right, Drew. So you finished Mass Effect, you logged the hours, you saved the universe, and you mentioned the game that you're playing now. This episode's going to come out in August. I'm thinking there's a possibility you may still be playing this video game, but you are playing Golden Sun right now.
I am. It's my favorite game of all time. Came out in 2001, published by Nintendo, developed by Camelot. They do a lot of the Mario sports games now. And Camelot, if you're still listening, you better make another Golden Sun or remaster the current ones. I'm just saying. But yeah, there are 3 of those titles as well. Not currently in a nice little package like Legendary Edition for Mass Effect. But you should still be able to get them in some way, shape, or form. I know at this point, the Wii U eShop has them. If you have a Wii U, you can still find them, surprisingly. And then as far as Dark Dawn is concerned, that one is on DS still. So there's no, to my knowledge, there's no way to play a DS game unless you're doing nefarious things, which I can't go into in a public forum. But yes, Golden Sun is a wonderful experience. If you've never played it, I highly recommend it. Or just come on down, hang out with us. We'll treat you right.
That's right. And before we wrap up, Drew, as far as you've been on 2 times, 2019 and then 2021. We've always talked about Twitch and what you've been doing. Where do you see? Because again, this episode comes out in August, so we'll be over halfway through the year. But what are your plans for Twitch? What are your plans for the games and what you're putting out there to your audience, to your community? Like what is going on with you and your stream?
Right now, I think the focus is going to remain the long form games, especially those with choices in them. I just really enjoy that experience and the camaraderie that we build as a community and experiencing these games. I know there's been whispers of Life is Strange and wanting to play through that, which that game series has a place in my heart and always will. And I'm way behind on it. I've only played the first one, and apparently there's like 2 more. So I got to get on that. Some more charity stuff. I'm still doing some charity work. I know this is coming out in August, but we're currently recording in June, and we're doing some Trevor Project stuff for Pride Month, which is cool. And then Stack Up. I'm going to be doing a specific Stack Up show, Call to Arms, which is for mental health and our veterans, which is really, really dope. And as far as the show is concerned, I mean, I'm going to just see where the winds take us, to be honest. I've begun to implement different of my artistic endeavors into the show, things like monologuing and making sounds on the fly. And we even created the backtrack for a cover for me to sing. So one thing I do have to give my community credit is they are down for whatever. They also want to see me create unique stuff, which I don't think I definitely don't want to take that for granted, because you and I both know I love creating unique stuff. We're actually doing a beard point challenge right now where I'm making an 80s style jazzercise video once we hit that goal. So that should be fun, especially with the spandex.
Oh yes. I have flashbacks to like those 80s music videos with the male leotard dancers dancing.
Well,
It's
you got it right.
I know it's coming.
Yep. Oh my gosh. And everybody's just chomping at the bit. Cool Skeleton actually made the thumbnail already. She's really excited.
Well, I want to say to people that are listening, if you're a person that hangs out on Twitch or likes to watch games on Twitch, you definitely need to give Drew a follow. You will not regret it. Not only for Drew, but the community that surrounds Drew. We're all cool people, I believe. So come and hang out and join us. And Drew, for people that want to come check you out on, the internet, best places for them to find you.
Honestly, www.DrewBearded.com. It links you to everywhere where I am on the web. That's Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. It's like a one-stop shop. You can see what we do and how we hang out and how we roll. And then if you like what you see, we look forward to seeing you and meeting you in real time.
And you can also listen to Drew's 2 other episodes. They'll be in the show notes, along with all of Drew's links for his previous 2 episodes, where we talked about like Pokemon and Disney and Twitch and the video games that Drew had played during the 2020 pandemic and everything else. So take a listen to those, but definitely go to Twitch and drop the follow and come be a new beardy with us, because we would like that.
Yes.
And Drew, thank you, for taking the time out of your schedule to come hang with me on my platform. And in a couple of days, I'll be hanging back again with you on yours.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, David. It's always a pleasure. You're killing it every time we chat. It's such an enriching experience. So I can't express the gratitude that I have for you, and how grateful I am that we met, man. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Tales from the Fandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.